All right, so this is one of my all-time favorite examples to incorporate in sociology because one of my all-time favorite movies is Mean Girls, and it is a perfect example to work with when we're talking about all of the different types of groups and types of leadership that we've been exploring in the previous lecture videos for this topic. All right, so if you've never seen the movie Mean Girls, you should watch it immediately. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix, maybe on Hulu. I don't know. But essentially, it's about this main character, Katie Herring here, who's starring Lindsay Lohan, who for the first 16 or so years of her life was homeschooled in Africa. Her parents got job offers to teach at this university, so they moved from Africa to the United States, where Katie then gets put into a high school setting, a public high school setting for the first time in her life. And the story is just kind of about this awkward homeschool girl who becomes a member of the popular group of girls who are known as the Plastics, and all the while trying to maintain a relationship with the two people who befriended her first, which are kind of these outcasted characters, Janice and Damien. She's really smart, so she gets offered to join the group on school called the Mathletes, but the Plastics don't want her to join the Mathletes because they say it's social suicide to be part of this nerdy group. Yada yada yada. Hopefully you've seen it so you have some context to work with. If not, we're going to watch the scene that really kind of sets up how high schools are often really great examples of different types of groups that exist in any given society here. So this is a very popular scene from the movie where the characters are in the lunchroom at the high school, all right? And the purpose of this scene is to show all of the different groups that exist in this one social setting, in this case, a typical high school in the United States.
Here, this map is going to be your guide to North Shore. Now, where you sit in the cafeteria is crucial because you got everybody there. You got your freshmen, ROTC guys, preps, JV jocks, Asian nerds, cool Asians, varsity jocks, unfriendly black hotties, girls who eat their feelings, girls who don't eat anything, desperate wannabes, burnouts, sexually active band geeks, the greatest people you will ever meet, and the worst. Beware of the plastic.
All right, so in that quick little video, you see pretty much every different table in the high school lunchroom represented a different group of students, right? And if we just take a look at these few examples that I've pulled up here, we can already start connecting some of these concepts and terms for groups that we talked about in the previous lecture videos to what we're seeing happening in this movie. So the first group we can look at here are the Plastics, right? There are three of them initially, which would make them a triad, right? The Plastics would definitely be, I would say, call them a primary group amongst themselves. These three girls are very intimate with one another. They're very informal when they interact with one another. They share a lot of secrets with one another. So definitely a primary group for them. I would also say that being part of the Plastics was an in-group for these three ladies as well, because it provided them a really strong sense of identity as to who they were. Then over here we had Janice and Damien, which are only two individuals, which would make them a dyad, right? The smallest group that we work with. They're also kind of considered an outcast a little bit from the Plastics, so maybe the Plastics would probably consider Janice and Damien an outgroup. We also have the Mathletes, which is the math group on campus. A little bit bigger with 4 or 5 members in it, so making a little more of a stable group. It's also would be considered an outgroup from the perspective of the Plastics because it's considered committing social suicide to be part of this group. And then lastly, we have Gretchen and Karen. Now, later in the movie, I don't want to give away too much, but Gretchen and Karen start getting a little fed up with Regina George, who is kind of the leader, the self-proclaimed leader of the Plastics. And Gretchen and Karen end up breaking off and forming a coalition. So that's what this video represents here.
Live TV from 85 plus channels with local sports and news. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Regina, we have to talk to you.
Is butter a carb?
Yes. Gina, you're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday.
So? So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us. Whatever. Those rules aren't real.
They were real that day I wore a vest.
Because that vest was disgusting.
You can't sit with us!
These sweatpants are all that fits me right now. Hi. You can walk home, bitches. That's where you're going, fat ass.
Alright, so again, in that video we can see connections to a lot of the different terms that we were referring to in the past lecture videos. We had Gretchen and Karen, who are two original members of the Plastics, start to get fed up with their authoritarian leader, Regina George, right? Regina George, very bossy, very controlling. However, Gretchen and Karen started noticing that Regina was breaking some of the rules or some of the norms that the group of the Plastics had established. They had this norm in place, this rule that you could not wear sweatpants more than one day a week, and Regina George was breaking that. And Gretchen and Karen were starting to get fed up with it, so they formed a coalition. They broke off on their own, and they combined their power and resources and decided, hey, we're not going to stand for this. Regina George has been bossing us around all these years, making us follow these rules, and now she's not following the rules that our group has in place, and it's causing the integrity of the Plastics to suffer. We're starting to be laughed at by other members of the school, and we're supposed to be the popular kids. So they coalesced, they confronted their authoritarian leader, and they made her actually kicked Regina George out of the Plastics, right? So, these are just a few examples. This movie is flooded with examples of groups that we can work with. I've actually created an exercise or a little mini assignment to help you get more practice with this. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and pause this lecture video or stop this lecture video and complete the exercise, Sociology of Groups, Mean Girls exercise, which I provided in the content folder for this week as well, just to get some more practice with going through the terms and applying these terms that we're covering in this class to concepts outside of the class, in this case, to a particular film. All right? So if you'd like to complete that assignment, you can, and then I will provide a blank assignment in the content folder, and then I'll also provide the answer key in the content folder too, so you can go through the answers and check your work later, just to get more practice applying these terms.